All right, we are going to multiply 1/2 plus 3/10. You will see that we always must have our fractions lined up vertically, one above the other. So when I look at this, the first question I am going to ask is, do I have a common denominator? That is, does my top fraction and my bottom fraction have the same denominator? In this case, they do not. If I have my denominators are consecutive numbers, one number right after the other, all I need to do is multiply them. You will see I have a 2 up here. A consecutive number would mean that I have a 3 in my second fraction in the denominator, and I do not. Since I do not have consecutive numbers in my denominators, I am going to list my multiples of my denominators. So I have a 2 and I have a 10. I am going to start with the smallest number first and list the multiples of that number. So for those of you who remember kindergarten, that would be counting by 2s. For third grade, you remember multiplying our numbers. So we have 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 5 is 10. Now, as soon as you think that you are going to have the second number, a multiple that's going to be the same, you want to stop. So I'm going to have a 10 times 1 is 10. I do not need to go any further. And so I have found my new common denominator. Now, when I come over here to write my new denominator, I want to leave a gap, my fraction gap, and so that allows me space to work, and so I will write my new denominator. Now we'll do the easy one first. Since my 10 is going to stay the same, then I know that my 3 will stay the same. So I am done with my second fraction, and that will automatically stay a 3/10. I will now go up here and say, how does my 2 turn into a 10? Well, I multiply my 2 times 5 to get 10. And then I remember the most important rule of fractions. Whatever I do to my denominator, I do to my numerator. So I'm going to multiply my numerator, my 1, times 5, and I get 5/10. So now I'm going to take my 5/10 and my 3/10, and I will get 8/10. I add my numerators, 5 plus 3 is 8, and my denominator just stays the same. I will now ask, can my 8/10 be simplified? Is there a number that goes into both 8 and 10? Yes. And so that number would be a 2. 2 goes into 8 evenly, 2 goes into 10 evenly, and I get 4/5. I then ask, can that be simplified? I have consecutive numbers, a 4 and a 5. When I have consecutive numbers in a fraction, they can never be simplified. That fraction can never be simplified. And so I have found my final answer, 4/5. So 1/2 plus 3/10 equals 4/5.